Good morning, all of you. Here we are once again back with our English first flight lesson 3 as in a revision form, that is 2 stories about flying, and the same pattern is carried forward in all the lessons and poems. That is lesson 3 also will be including your introduction part, that is part 1, his first flight, and the second part is the black aeroplane. The first one written by Liam O'Harty and second part written by Frederick Forsyth. So this you already know the story about, and as you move ahead you will also be reading about the summary over here of both the parts, part 1 and part 2, and finally you have conclusion of these 2 stories about flying. The first part of the story teaches us that the inner strength of the person is always helpful in overcoming difficult situations. For example, maybe for you difficult situation at present is lot many tests or maybe worksheets that are following after all the videos in all your subjects, and doing the homework, filling in the papers with your test and homework and all. But dear, this is a very small challenge, I would say, and if you overcome it, you are going to face or you are going to embrace success in your life. So this period also we can take as a learning process in our life, and your strength you can show by overcoming the small fears in life and the difficult situation that you think it is difficult. You can overcome it by putting in more effort in learning, in writing down, and as I told you before also, you are getting more than enough time to do your work. Just think about the previous years, all the students who had been going to school 6 to 7 hours, 3 to 4 hours, coming and going and attending your tuitions. So 11 hours of daily you are getting extra. So I think so you people are lucky to get more time to study and play at a time. So please, your inner strength you can show over here in this time period by working hard and of course playing also at the same time. And the second part teaches us that do not take risk at the, or you can say that we should not take risk. And risk in what form? Risk, yes, you should take in life, but not at the cost of others, or not thinking about a family, that what the result would be of my taking the risk. And in fulfilling your dreams, take risk, but it should not be without head or tail. The risk should be such that it brings progress in your life and not such that it puts your life and your family life in danger. So such conclusions are provided to you after each story and poem. Hope that this small effort from my side would help you in understanding the chapter and make it more entertaining also by the video that follows this summary. So here goes your entertainment part.
The story His First Flight gives an account of a young seagull who is afraid to fly. The story goes on to show how eventually, with his mother's help, the young seagull conquers his fear and completes his first flight in triumph. Let's see what happens in His First Flight by Liam O'Flaherty. The young seagull stood alone on the ledge. A day ago, he had watched his brothers and sisters take their first flight. Though their wings were shorter than his, they had run to the brink and then jumped. His mother and father called to him shrilly, threatening to let him starve if he didn't jump. But he was afraid to jump. It was such a long way down, and he was sure his wings would never support him. So now he was alone on the ledge under the blazing sun. He hadn't eaten anything since last night. All morning, he had watched his parents teach his brothers and sister. He had seen his older brother catch his first fish. They had also teased him all morning from their perch on the opposite cliff. It was very hot, and the seagull was very hungry. He walked to the edge of the cliff and pretended to be asleep, hoping his family would notice him. But his brothers and sister were sleeping. His father was cleaning his wings. Only his mother noticed him. Now and again, she would tear a piece of fish and then scrape her beak on the stone to sharpen it. Seeing this, the young seagull, mad with hunger, let out a cry. He wanted a piece of fish. But his mother dismissed his cry. He cried and begged again. Then he screamed with happiness when he saw his mother flying towards him with a piece of fish. But she stopped near his ledge. The piece of fish was just within his reach. The young seagull jumped forward to snatch the piece of fish. He screamed as he fell. Terror seized him. His heart stopped. But it only lasted for a minute. Then his wings spread. He felt their tips cutting the air. He wasn't falling, but soaring in the wind. He no longer felt afraid. Flapping his wings, he flew upwards. His family joined him, emitting loud screams. Forgetting that he had been afraid to fly, the young seagull now dove, curved, and soared in the air. He was close to the sea now. His family were already on the water and called for him to land. The young seagull did so. His legs sank in the water. Frightened, he screamed and tried to rise. Then his belly touched the water. He was no longer sinking, but floating. His family now praised him, bringing him bits of fish. Thus, the young seagull, with his family's help, overcame his fear and accomplished his first flight.
So this is the first part of the lesson that we did just now, and the second part that is related to the black aeroplane. Let's start over here. That is your
The story, The Black Aeroplane, describes the narrator's mysterious encounter with a strange pilot in a black aeroplane during his flight from Paris to London. Let's see what happens in The Black Aeroplane by Frederick Forsyth. The narrator was happily flying his old Dakota aeroplane over France. He was looking forward to flying back home for the holidays. So he contacted Paris Control and informed them that he was flying back to England. He then checked his map and compass. He was on his last tank, but he believed he could make it to England. He was dreaming of an English breakfast. 150 kilometers from Paris, he saw storm clouds in the sky. They looked like huge black mountains. The narrator thought he should return to Paris, but he really wanted to reach home and have breakfast. So, deciding to risk it, he flew his Dakota into the storm. Everything went black. The narrator checked his compass. To his amazement, the compass was turning around and round and round. It wasn't working. None of his instruments were. He couldn't contact Paris Control for help. He was now lost in the storm. Suddenly, he saw another plane flying towards him. The pilot waved and told the narrator to follow him. The narrator was glad. He followed the black aeroplane like an obedient child. The narrator had been following the black aeroplane for quite some time. The Dakota was now on its last fuel tank. It would only last for a few more minutes. The narrator was beginning to feel afraid when the black aeroplane started circling down. Suddenly, he came out of the clouds. With joy, He saw a runway in front of him. He was safe. He looked around for the black aeroplane so he could thank the pilot. But there was no sign of the black aeroplane. He landed, glad to be walking away from his Dakota. At the control tower, he asked about the other pilot. The woman at the counter looked at him, puzzled. She told him that his plane was the only one she could see on the radar. The narrator was stunned. Who was the pilot in the black aeroplane without lights?
So with this, we complete today our revision of the chapter 3rd, and next time I will come along with the revision of, I think so, one more chapter, that is of your supplementary. And till then, go through this summary and go through the video. So all the best and have a good day. Take care. Thank you so much.